Welcome to Blair It Out There with me, Blair Lametti, and I have my co-host here, David English.
Hey, everyone.
It is so lovely to have you here at now all of the podcasts that we're going to do that I talked you into.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
He got the fire,
I
and he
did.
was like, I'm addicted.
Yeah, that first episode, I was like, I'm in.
You were in
It's
like
fun.
5 minutes in.
Didn't take long.
No.
I warm up quickly.
I knew you. What is it? Sink, line, and wait, no, hook, line, and sinker. I got you.
Yeah, you got me.
I put the bait
I'm
out.
hooked.
I put the bait out, and I knew you'd take it.
You did. I did.
And
You did, and I did.
And I agree.
I came here and was like, wait.
It's magic.
It's a
baby.
trick.
It's magic.
Yeah, but it worked out.
Well, today we have the Erin Kaiser. I have to say, very few women impress me. I mean, they impress me. I love women. However, few who I would want to be.
I don't even know what to say to that. Like
It's a huge compliment.
I'll take that compliment.
I mean,
I will take it.
You are a powerhouse.
Oh, thanks.
You're an amazing woman. You are a go-getter. You're a mom of how many kids?
6.
6.
I say that, and I don't mean to be like, oh, 6, but yes, it's 6 children.
6.
Yay!
What do
kids.
you, what do you mean by that?
What are
I want
the
to break that one
ages?
down.
I wanna know.
It's a lot. And before we get into I don't want to get too crazy, but
Oh, get crazy, girl. This is
I
the
mean,
podcast to do it.
I feel like it might be. My oldest is 18.
18. Wait,
So we have
18?
I was 18 when I had my
Your
oldest
first baby?
daughter. Yes. So
Oh
I'm going to be 38 this year.
Wow.
Yes. And
Don't look a
everyone's like,
day
oh my
over
gosh, you don't
20.
look like
No,
you have an 18-year-old. I'm like,
congratulations.
I have no business having an 18-year-old. Like, this is, yes. So my oldest is 18. We range from 18 down to our youngest is about to be 8 in a couple weeks.
Okay, so does the 18-year-old babysit?
No, not anymore.
She doesn't.
No, she works 2 jobs. She's a full-time student, scholarship over at the U of A.
There goes the
Good
live-in
job,
nanny.
Mom.
I mean, holy smokes. I talk about it all the time, but like Allie, who is my oldest, she saved my life in ways that
I
I
love
don't
that.
ever actually feel like I could convey for so many reasons. 1, I had her when I was 18. 2, like she forced me to find a hustle,
Yeah.
a need to continue, and also a need to just figure it out. Right?
Like, you're 18, you're a child.
Yeah.
I was a child. I
Can't
was a
imagine
child
that's
having
easy.
a child. It was unreal.
You're probably terrified.
Yes, to say the least. I was.
How did you do that experience? Like, when you found out you were pregnant, what was going through your mind?
Oh God. I will say the biggest thing that was probably going through my mind was, what now?
Yeah.
What do I do? Like, I had in my mind at that time when I found out that I was pregnant, and obviously it was a gigantic, oh crap. Like, it wasn't I didn't feel the things that I felt with my other babies.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest.
Well, you were 18.
My other babies, I was like, oh my God, yes, I'm pregnant. Then I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. And I made a decision to have Allie. And in those moments, I think when you're trying to sort through, okay, my life looks like I'm going here, I'm going to be, I really wanted to be an attorney. That's really all I wanted to be in my entire life.
I could see that. I could see that.
And I had to kind of dishevel.
Yeah, your dreams
My
of what you
plans,
thought was
Yeah,
going
right?
to be, had to
Absolutely.
go backwards.
Right, absolutely. So I had to kind of separate that out and be like, hey, life just looks different.
Yeah.
And during that time, my first initial thought with her was we just have to figure it out. I'm going to be fine. No matter what happens, I'm going to be fine. And obviously, here we are. I'm in a much different phase of my life, and I am fine, more than fine. But to answer your question, it was very, how do I determine who I am now when I thought my value is placed on this level of success, and this is my definition of success when I was 18. How does success look different now that I am pregnant at 18, and now my entire life plan is going to be derailed?
Yeah.
Do you think you would have been as successful as you are today if you had not gotten pregnant at 18?
No, absolutely not.
That's
100%. I would never even think for 2 seconds on that my life would have been more successful had I not have had a baby, because I know what my life looks like now.
Yeah.
and not just in regards to a lot of people, and I talk about this a lot, and a lot of people, their definitions of success looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like money.
Yeah.
Right? Like some people, when you think about success, they think about monetary value. For me, that is a little bit of a play in success.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, success is who I am as a person, how do I divide my time? How do I time manage? How am I able to be a good wife? How am I able to be a good mom to my other children? My definition of success has always looked different ever since having Allie. And after having her, I truly do not, like, I cannot imagine for a second what my life would have looked like without her in it. I just can't.
Absolutely. So you've always been a working mom.
Yes.
Did you ever get time off, or were you always coming up with a plan?
You know, I have to give credit where credit is due. My mom is an instrumental part of my starting out point when it came to me being a mom at 18. If it wasn't for her, I would not have had the wherewithal to be like, okay, how can I make all this work? She changed her schedule to allow me to be able to work full time, take care of Allie during the day. And then my mom switched her schedule so that way she could actually flip it. My mom actually allowed me to be able to work during the day so that way she took care of Allie. And then at night, my mom worked so that way I had Allie.
Uh-huh.
And not one time did she ever make me feel guilty, anything. Like she always, such a good mom, right?
Especially at that time in your life. I mean, that's hard because you're 18.
Yeah.
You're just entering in the world. Like, you have no life experience yourself. You don't even know who you are.
No, it's
absolutely
like, you're
not.
literally just starting, the world has opened itself up to you, and you're like, who do I want to be in this world?
Yes.
And now not only do you have to figure that out for yourself, but now you have to figure it out for your daughter.
Yeah,
your
it was
child.
terrifying.
It
was terrifying.
I remember when I wasn't married at the time when I got pregnant with McKay. He now knows this, so he can listen to this. He's seen it himself in our wedding pictures. So that was like, oopsies. And he was like, Mom, why was I at your wedding? And I'm like, oh, we just wanted to have a celebration with you there. Total liar.
Quick turn of events.
Quick turn of events. But I remember taking 24 pregnancy tests because I took 24 because I thought they were all liars, and they were expensive. So I remember throwing them at my friend, being like, liar, liar, this is not happening. And you know what? I think when you get the support around you and the love around you, then you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, and my mom, obviously, she was not thrilled when I told her that I was pregnant.
They never are.
No, especially that point in my life. I had just graduated high school. Like, I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And so, obviously, in that moment, she handled it the best way that she knew how to handle it. But then I'll tell you what, when I had her, it was somehow just aligned. And she showed up for me in a way. I don't care if my mom ever were to go out. I mean, she could murder people. Oh, I messed up the microphone.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's all right.
Got it. She could.
It is in your face.
And I would still never ever disregard the fact of what she did for me for those 5 years of Allie's life, like until she actually went to school and did, all the things that she's in now. Fast forwarding, years later. Yeah. It is. It's absolutely incredible to me. My mom is an incredible woman. She has raised, see, I know I messed it up. There we go. There we go. I messed up the whole podcast by hitting my microphone.
Ruined.
I got so passionate. But no, I mean, my mom just, she's not even swooped in and saved me, because I'll tell you what, that woman made sure that she didn't save me. She made sure that I was equipped. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She made sure that I had everything that I needed with all the tools in my arsenal to be able to forge a life for myself without actually needing her. So she stepped up, did what she needed to do.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's, I look back on it now and I'm like, God, that was so long ago. Like,
it feels like forever,
so
right?
long ago. And now, I have adults. I have an adult child. Like, it's crazy.
Okay, so if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, finding that pregnancy test, what's the one thing you would tell yourself?
She's going to save your life.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
I know. Stop making me emotional, because I can't. Guys, I can't.
We get emotional on here.
I appreciate that, and I'm here for it. But in all honesty, that's what I would say. Whether it's going to be hard or easy, or there's going to be hard parts and there's going to be really easy parts, but this child that you don't even know yet is going to save your life.
Absolutely.
And you have to embrace the suck. Embrace
so
the
many
suck of the hard.
Probably people out there that are getting that pregnancy test right now that are young and thinking my life is over.
Yeah.
And I was older. I was 24. So I remember getting that and thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Like, oh my gosh, it's over. All my dreams are over. And I agree. My son, my oldest son, McKay, saved my life. Yeah. I remember having him in my hands, looking at him, and I was like, I've never known what love is. This is love. Like this right here, him in my arms, it was like the world came together.
Yeah.
I think I forgave myself a lot for things when he was born. And I just thought, here's this precious human being in my arms, and I get to like make this life about him and love and gratitude and just try my best to not mess it up. That was it.
And we're gonna mess it up. Let's be real honest, right? Like we're gonna mess it up.
I mean, my kids follow me on YouTube and TikTok, and they're like, "Really, Mom?"
I always tell people though, it's like, how can you mess it up that it becomes comical and not traumatic? Like,
is there a recipe?
Like, we're not looking to create any childhood trauma here.
No.
We're just looking to make some crazy YouTube videos.
Like, how can we make these stories funny in the future?
Oh yeah. No, my son's like really into like doing videos, and he wants to. I think he's going to get into film, like the video parts of it. I'm not really sure what that is called, but he's very creative, and he totally takes that after me because he's great. Oh no, he's amazing, and I just love him so much, and I just couldn't imagine my life of where I'm at today if I didn't make that mistake. Yeah. And I hate when you say like, oh, it's a mistake, because it was a happy accident that happened. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was younger than I thought I was going to be, and I wasn't at the career that I wanted to be. But where I'm at today, I'm like, if I didn't make that one step, I wouldn't be here.
Right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Not a planned step, but a necessary step.
A necessary step. And I needed to grow up, too, at that time. I don't know at 18 that you needed to, but I needed to at my time.
I think growing up was probably an understatement. I think we have all, when we're young, we have a very convoluted version of what the world should look like.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think sometimes I talk about success a lot and what that looks like for everyone. In my version of where I was at 18, my version was I had a very direct path to, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, I'm going to be the first to do this, and then all of a sudden I find out that I'm going to be a mom. Yeah. And it's as if nothing else mattered at that point. Yeah. And I wish I had some, I talk about business a lot. We talked about this at our event last week. Yeah. I wish I had some really sexy story as to how things worked out the way that they did, but I don't. The truth is that I had no money. I had no clout whatsoever, especially in the 18-year-old arena. Yeah.
I mean, you're 18, so you just graduated.
100%. And so for me, like my clout was who I knew I could be. Yeah. And so then I just focused in and went very hard as far as I'm going to make that path.
I'm going to go on a limb here.
I love it. Go.
That you have always been a determined person.
It feels that way just meeting you. Wait, like you just have this
what's your sign?
Essence about you.
I'm a Cancer. Is that a thing?
No, I'm looking at David because he's like, really? You're a Cancer? No, I think that's true because I think Cancers are very determined.
But I'm kind of an anomaly to the Cancer.
You really are because you're very like go with the flow. And
oh my gosh, if you asked my husband that, he would say 100% different.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
First off, Matthew,
are we talking
you
about
are
that now?
So lucky to have this woman in your life. If for people who don't know, you guys, okay, I met Erin in the mortgage world. I'm obviously a real estate agent, and I met Erin in the mortgage world, and I've got a lot of lenders coming after me, right? And so I talked to Erin and I talked to Matt, and they're going after and they're talking and stuff like that, and then I beam in on Erin, and I'm like, that babe is a powerhouse.
Oh my God, I remember the first time you told me about
it. Like,
that was just like the first thing. She's like, David,
and then we look at Matt and we're like, Matt and Erin may be the most beautiful couple I've ever seen.
I fell in love. I was like, oh my God.
And they work together.
They're both gorgeous.
And they're sexy as sexy can be. And they work in the same office together. I'm like,
I don't know if my head could contain how big you're making it right now. I think it might just pop off.
It's really exciting for someone like us because we're just like, oh, how does this work? Because you've got Matt, who's been probably running, he's Kaiser Group.
He is. Yes. So a little, since we're talking about my husband, he's my favorite topic of conversation.
Oh, I love it.
He is. My husband, Matt, he has been a mortgage originator, loan officer for, God, we're going on 20 years now.
20 years.
I know. Weird, right? Because he's like, 25.
Yeah, he's 12.
Has a six pack. It's a whole thing.
She threw that six pack in there real quick for you guys.
100%. Yeah, Matt's been in loans for a very long time. And before I jumped on board, and you know this about me, and David and I are just getting to know each other. And so how this all kind of came to be with us working together was I have been in insurance for the last 18 years of my life.
Oh, yeah. No, and not just like, let's not talk about just like, oh, I've been in insurance. This woman ran the insurance company, came up. I did workman's comp and payroll, so I know the insurance world very well. You guys all know the insurance world as, some of you out there. And it's tough. It's a very competitive business. I mean, you're cold calling, you're making the numbers, you're trying to figure it out.
Yep.
But what this woman did was come up with a niche. And not only that, she wrote a book about it, became a huge speaker about it. This was before Matt, because we have to say Matt is your second husband, correct?
Matt, yes. So Matt, I've been married previously.
Okay.
And yes, I don't call him this, but Matt has him saved as the contact in his phone as E's baby daddy.
Oh.
Yes, so I have a baby.
I got a little hot.
I have a baby daddy. But no, yes, I've been married previously, and when I started my insurance company, so I started out with State Farm. I moved over to Allstate, and then I was really tired of making other people look like rock stars and not
100%.
myself, and I started my own company, my own insurance brokerage, roughly about almost 10 years ago at this point, give or take a couple months.
Gosh.
And then I got to do it for myself. And so I built that. And not only was I had a passion for insurance. Let's be honest. Like, if you are listening to this and you're like, I'm not really sure if this is what I really want to do. Like, if you're having any doubts about the industry that you're in, like, get out.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
if you don't have passion, you got to leave.
Don't try to pretend, because you can't fake. Like, fake it till you make it is fine for a little bit of time when you're passionate about an industry but don't really know the analytics or don't really know the systems. That's cool. Fake it till you make it, do it. But if you're faking it till you make it in an industry that you're not happy in,
Absolutely.
you should part the industry.
Yeah, part ways to find your passion.
Yes, and I say this all the time in that, like, marketing is marketing.
Yep.
And that's my special. That's
you
what I do.
are a brilliant marketer.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Oh,
And you're sexy.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
guys,
God,
I mean,
why am I not even
hey,
go home
she
tonight?
looks
I'm
like
going to your
I know.
house.
Britney Spears like
are we
vest
doing?
on. I mean, you're making me hot and bothered
What
over
are we
here.
Roll everywhere.
I know.
doing here?
Hey,
Oh.
hey, Erin Kaiser, if I had a
Is
women
this the
crush,
X-rated version of Let It Out?
it's VIP Mortgage After Hours.
After hours.
After
We all have a little bit of a different voice. After hours.
It's the After Hours.
Yes.
Hey, that's how I called Erin. I was like, hey, Erin, you want to be on my podcast?
And I would literally do anything for you.
Yeah, well,
if you're like, you want to step in front of this train? Yeah, sure.
Oh.
no
Yeah, I'm there.
problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's fine.
I said
she's good at convincing people to do that.
Hey,
right away.
right?
There's certain people that I get energy from. I'm a very energy type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And I can read people. I have ignored some of those things in my past, but now I'm very like, who are you? What do you represent? Are you a good person? And why do I feel so attracted to you as a friend?
Sure.
And right when I met you, I was like, ding, ding, ding. We're coming. I'm coming one way or the other. I'm coming on board. I'm like, you're going to be my friend and we're stuck together.
But it makes sense, because I think in the point that we are right now, not only just in our business lives, but in our personal lives, right? Like,
Yeah.
And David can probably attest, like, you get to a point where you're like, I am so done with all the excessive crap that comes along with being X, Y, and Z's person.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of being the fixer. I'm so tired of being, my job is to fill voids, right? Like that's my entire job. I see a void in the marketing space. I see a void in the mortgage space. And we were talking about, Matt, and we were talking about how he convinced me
Yeah.
With his
I don't know
devilish looks.
Yeah.
And six-pack abs.
Yes.
He's very good looking.
Come on. He is very good looking.
Very good
My
looking.
husband is very attractive.
I mean, you're better looking, but he is very good looking as well.
Listen, I am on board with the Matt train. Whatever he has to offer.
I have to do the same with my husband. Everyone's like, he looks like Mark Wahlberg. And I'm like, go for it.
I'm here, and I'm here for it. And honestly, if you're not celebrating your spouse, like, again,
Absolutely.
what are we doing?
Why?
Like, what are we doing? This
Exactly.
is crazy.
It's crazy.
This is crazy.
Be on your team and support them and let them thrive.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
Absolutely, which
100%.
is how I got over working with Matt, because I decided, and we all do this, and David, we were talking briefly about mental health, and we were talking about like how important that is.
Absolutely.
How I actually got on the map, although I have like a lot of niche markets, I have a lot of side companies, I had a lot of things that were going at the time. The one thing that kind of put me in the spot of like, hey, this person maybe has some sort of clout to speak on a stage in front of thousands and talk about X, Y, and Z, is a blog that I wrote about mental health. What happens to the captain of the ship when there's a burnout? Because very little time, like us as employers, we're so worried about everyone else around us. We're so worried about like, hey, I need to make sure you're producing. I need to make sure you're doing this. Like, how can I support you? How can I do this? But what happens when the captain of the ship has a burnout?
Well, what does happen?
The reality is that was what was happening to me during that time. And that's why I wrote the blog, because I'm like, if this is happening to me, this is happening to a million other people, right?
It's true.
Absolutely.
What happens is like you still go into your people because that's reality.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you're never going to leave them.
Yeah.
You still go into your business because this is your livelihood. This is your merit. This is your reputation. This is everything. But then what people don't realize, and what someone so blatantly asked me, I was doing an interview in Vegas before I was getting onto a stage, and it shook me. And this person asked, what was your biggest sacrifice that you had when you started your company? And it was the most profound question. It's still obviously, like, here I am like 7-8 years later, and it's still affecting me.
Yeah.
And so, and I had to kind of think about it, and I'm like, well, the biggest sacrifice was me. It really was. And
True.
as much as, you know, I can never blame something for taking a marriage.
Yeah.
I was married to my baby daddy
Your
at
baby
the time, my baby daddy. I was married at the time, and although like that's not one key reason why someone decides to not be in a marriage anymore, that was a huge piece, because I wasn't able to actually present myself in a way that was fully there and present for a marriage.
Yeah.
So my biggest sacrifice in my business was myself.
Okay.
And it was exhausting, and I was terrified that I would do that again when I got ready to sell my company. So I was going through the burnout. I was going through all my things, you know. I'm all in my feels, whether I like it or not. And as much as I always say all the time, which is why I'm like kind of an anomaly to keep being a Cancer, my, you know, sign.
Okay.
I'm emotional, but only when someone or something affects me so deep that I can't come from it.
Yeah.
I can't get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what I was going through at the time. And I
I
said,
think that's because you're a strong human being.
Yeah.
well, and I appreciate that, but it also takes Matt, my husband, it also takes someone who is equally loving, equally caring, equally empathetic,
Yeah.
with a strong mental health situation happening, to come in and say, hey, you're going through a burnout. We have to figure something out.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to sell my company. I thought I was retiring, to be honest with you, because I sold my
I
company,
could imagine it would feel like
all
that.
the things. And I
Could
was
you
like, here we
imagine
go.
thinking you're finally like retiring and you're selling your company, and then your husband decides to bring you on board and make you manage and market a whole other company?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I
You're
got
like,
tricked.
I was on
I know
vacation.
the feeling, Erin. I know the feeling.
I got
On
tricked
vacation.
here.
He will blame the 6-pack abs.
Oh my God, yes. I'll blame everything on them, and gladly. Gladly.
Here she goes. I've worked my butt off. I finally have done it. I'm selling my company.
I'm ready
And then
to
here
rest.
comes her husband. So sweetie, we really need you to come on board and do this all over again.
Turns out.
Yeah, you're really good at what you do.
Turns
so
out-
let's just keep you going.
And you really are, though. Could you imagine, though, like retiring so young, though? Like,
Yes.
She's like, yes,
Blair.
I can.
I was there.
Absolutely.
I was there.
I was there.
I
No,
was in
I
the
mean,
moment.
I mean, it was, but it just wasn't your timing. You had so much more to
No.
give.
And you're right. As much as I want to joke.
You and I would not have been a thing if you would have
No.
retired.
And in all honesty, he did it in such a, like, gorgeous way.
Yeah.
He came to me and he's like, hey.
He asked you after you got married.
What? Sell my company? That's what did it. You know
That's what it did.
That's what
he put
did
a ring on it. It was
That's
like, hey,
did it.
sell them tomorrow.
He came to me and he was like, hey, you made such a change in the insurance space.
So he saw you.
You filled a void. You are, and I am like, I am a self-proclaimed void filler. If I see a problem, I'm going to fix
It's
it.
okay. I'm a
That's
captain,
beautiful.
save a hoe. So we've decided that.
Captain Save a Hoe?
Mhm. That is
yeah.
my.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I need to explore this
So
program.
you're a void filler. I'm a save a hoe. So there
Hey,
we go.
You know, everyone has their shtick.
It was. It apparently
I'm
that's
sure we
mine.
could blend that very nicely.
We're both fixers.
We are.
And I'm just the observer who's like, okay, you need to step back a little bit.
Yeah.
Stop.
That's not even an observer though. That is a very implemental part.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You have to have someone, and sometimes Matt is this for me, but also one of my very best friends, Olivia, who also I work with, she's also that way for me too. In that, like, sometimes you get so fully immersed in what you're doing and trying to fill a void or trying to fix.
And it's
Yeah.
easy to do.
Yes, and you have to have somebody pull you back in not just a professional way, but in a personal way, and be like, hey,
Absolutely.
sis, you need to
Yeah.
come this
Going
way.
too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, come this way. It's okay. Because as much as I hate this like adage, you can only lead someone to water, right? Like you can't
100%.
make them drink it.
No, you cannot.
So no matter how many voids I fill, no matter what I do, no matter how much business I bring in the door, I can physically never constitute for the amount of hard work it's going to take to close a deal. So when Matt asked me to come over, he was going through a transition at the time where he was moving from one mortgage company to the other, which I already knew was going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
That always is very difficult, no matter what you're doing. And I was there for it, and I was like, yes. And my husband will be the first person to tell you, my intuition, my gut, my feel on just not companies but people,
Yeah.
as much as I hate to say it, is pretty much spot on.
Oh, I love that.
And a lot of the time,
I think
that
that's the
is-
cancer in you.
that is the piece of being my ash. Like, I mean, that's the piece. That's
Yeah.
the only piece I have
She
is
can
that.
read them real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know your intentions.
Yes, I know your intentions. Not only that, but I see your emotion
Mm-hmm.
in what you're trying to bring to the table. And I'm here to counter you because I very rarely have emotion when it comes to business,
Yeah.
which can sometimes come across as cold, and it's not meant to. It's meant to come across as
I
direct.
get told I'm cold too. I think you are not cold
Yeah.
whatsoever. I think you're business.
I think that, and I get that too. And it's like, I'm not, my biggest explanation is always, it's not meant to be cold. It's not meant to be hurtful. It's meant to get to the point.
Get to the
Correct.
point.
We
We
have
are
things
we
that
are
need to
such
get
get to the
done.
point.
Absolutely.
Let's get it
Yeah.
done, and we can worry about the little bits later. Like
Absolutely.
right now.
Because
Yeah.
we're all fixers there. So get to the point so we can fix and make sure it happens. And
Yeah.
are you capable of it? We probably will understand
Yeah,
if
I
you
don't
are.
do well when
Absolutely.
people create the gray areas. I'm like, let's just keep it black and white. Keep it for simplicity's sakes. Let's make it through, and then we can talk about why
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
didn't have the need for the gray area.
Well, and
Like,
you'll appreciate, so Brene Brown, who I'm not 100% like, I can't tell you that I'm up to date on all of her current works, but I read this book and I read this article, and the number one thing she says about leaders that their biggest mistake is that when you are a leader, you think that you are doing someone a service by relating to them at where they're at, and that is true. You need to have empathy.
point, yeah.
You need to have empathy when you're a leader. You have to.
Yeah.
But the biggest mistake that you make is that you try to go ahead and say, you know what? It's okay. You know what? I hear what you're saying. Let me go ahead and like backpedal a little bit. The biggest mistake she says is that if you as a leader are not being direct, you're actually doing the most disservice you can to your employees and to your company that you're working with.
That's
So
so
direct
true.
conversations are 100% vital when you're running a company.
Because how do you teach and train without being specific?
Right.
It's
It's
even-
even
and-
what you say.
And that should go towards anything. Your spouse, your children,
Oh, I
your
100% believe that.
employees, your
Right.
clients. If you are so scared to be direct with them, you're giving them some kind of bullshit that they're not even understanding. So it's like if you are clear and like, hey, my children, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this so you can get this. Very clear. And that is how it goes to anything out there. Your
Right.
employees, you're the leader, right? So you've got to teach your employees how to do those things.
Right.
And you need to do it by action and by direct conversation. Hey, that was like, this was a mistake right here. Not pointing out their mistake, but saying, hey, we can redirect and do it this way.
Yes.
And being very clear on what what is it? whatever you
Your
think your
intentions
intentions are, or what what you want somebody to do.
Right.
So those are things that, like, hey, I need you to do these things and do them just like this. So you're clear on that, your wording, because sometimes everybody's interpretation of what you want can be different.
Right. And and as a leader, and that's where Matt and I are trying to, because now here we are, like, we're working together. And
Yes.
we have a
Every day.
every day. Yes.
Every day working together.
Every day. Yeah. And we live together and we work out together.
all of
and
these
we
glass
eat together.
windows.
Woo, that's a lot of
All these glass
togetherness.
windows.
We eat a lot of, we do a lot of it together. We do.
But you guys love it.
We do love it. And it comes with its own set of challenges. And
Absolutely.
we talk about that a lot. Like we talked about that at Coffee HQ a couple weeks ago. Like, I had Matt on, and we talked about that. Like, what is it like to work with your partner? What's our biggest struggles? What's our biggest set of challenges? And the biggest set of challenge I always seem to come up against is communication.
Oh.
And that's such like we'll call it like a trigger word, right? Like, communication is such a trigger word, because everyone can say, oh yeah, no, I communicate like this, I communicate like that. But ultimately, like, is your communication actually being received by the other person? And a lot of times what we've found in business is that I pop off. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Matt's going to listen to this and he's gonna be like, yes.
No, I don't believe that. Erin's perfect, Matt. I don't believe it
Yes.
whatsoever. I think it's you.
But I pop off in a way that sometimes there are struggles within either, whether it's like finances, or whether it's within like the structuring of a company or employees, or all these things that we've never had to experience before. So when I pop off, it's because I've done business for so long the way that I do business.
Yeah.
And then he's done business on his side for so long the way that he has. So my version of popping off is like, I don't understand. I don't know why you're doing it this way. And his version is like, you need to understand this is not the same. This is different. Like,
Well, he's very chill, right?
oh, and that's why you said I'm very chill. I was like, oh, lady.
Well,
Just,
like,
like,
you're
circle
telling
back.
me that. You're like, Matt, like, doesn't get phased.
No, Matt doesn't get phased. He's very calm.
Goals.
Yes, he
Like,
is.
how?
I'm
like,
trying.
That's because
I
he
am
has
trying.
you as a wife who stresses for him.
Oh, and the way, you're right. You're right.
So
Matt's
you-
gonna be like,
yeah.
this is therapy for Erin.
Yeah.
This is therapy.
It's
Yeah.
true, though, because sometimes I feel like with, like, spouses, one of us always takes the brunt of it so
Yeah.
the other one can live in their peace.
Yes, that is Matt and I. Matt is very objective. He's
Okay.
very chill. He's very go with the flow. He's very like, you know what? This doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
This affects them, so I'm going to let it roll off. And then you have to have, when you have somebody like that, you have to have the other person who's like, okay, facts are not feelings. Feelings are not facts. This is business. This is what we're doing. I'm making decisions.
I love
Because
that.
he also
That's
hates
my
to have
biggest
hard
thing.
conversations. My husband hates to have and I live for them.
A
Same.
man
Live
that
for
hates
them.
to have a hard conversation that's not gay. I don't understand what you're talking about. That's bizarre to me.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
think men typically know what that means.
Yeah.
What's a hard you mean communication?
Right. So that's why when you talk about communication, everyone's like, you just have to communicate. It's like, okay, well, what's
But
your definition
how?
of communication?
What's-
Yeah,
what
but
is
everybody's
that?
communication style is different.
Correct.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like me, like we were just saying, like for me, I love a very direct approach. I hate the gray area. I hate feelings. I'm
Right.
like, your feelings mean nothing here. Like,
I'm
get to the
living
point.
for
You
you
are-
right
yeah,
now.
Oh.
I'm not a feeling person. I'm
No.
like, those are yours. You deal with them. Leave
Right.
them there. Like, no, let's get to the point. Let's solve this. Oh, great. We got, we found a solution. Let's
Right.
move on.
Let's move on.
Love
and
you.
me, I'm
Yeah.
like, the feelings are involved, and then I shut down. I'm just like, how do I
Oh,
fix you?
I had to learn with her because I was that way. So there was literally, I would feel bad. There was a lot of times where we'd hang up a phone conversation of me just like, Blair, just let it go. Like, stop. Enough. And she's like, okay. And we'd hang up the phone. And I'm like, God, you're such a dick. Like, call her back. And I would have been like, Blair, I'm so sorry. Like,
I didn't understand your
I feel
your
like I
point
was
of
just a
view.
little harsh. So let me take
I
it
feel like
back.
I
and
softened you up a little bit.
a little bit.
Because I am such a huge empath. I think everyone's
you are.
feelings matter. And so I'm like, how do I help you? How do I do this? And he's actually taught me to have boundaries, which we talked about last episode, that I don't know them. I know them now. I'm working on them. But I do understand, like, it's the best. Because when Robbie and I will fight, David will go over my text messages, and I think I'm 100% in the right. I'm
Sure.
like, look at this fool. He's bullshit. This is ridiculous. Like, aren't I amazing? And he'll look over and he goes, Blair.
There's a few times I'm like, Blair, you're just pouring that gasoline, aren't you?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
just
And
like,
he goes,
"Wah."
he goes, you are not communicating correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, rude.
Yeah.
I am perfect, and I am definitely perfect in your eyes. I definitely don't need both of you coming at me. And he does.
You're always
and
perfect.
And he'll tell me, he'll be like, you are coming from anger, you're coming from frustration, you're coming from all these different things that you're not seeing his point of view.
Yep.
And I'm like, you my best friend, you don't see anybody's point
Yeah,
of view.
you
but
only
mine."
see mine.
I was like, that is rude.
But you know what I call that?
What?
A really good effing best friend.
Right?
That's what I call
ma'am.
that.
No.
You heard it here, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
You get to.
If you don't
But I'm
have
not for sale.
somebody if you don't have somebody in your life that is going to call you on your bullshit,
I agree.
hug you when you're sad, my space. I don't know. Do you guys have a space in your house where, like, if it's too much, you just go to
That's my room.
room? What about you?
That's my front courtyard.
Okay.
Yes.
Mine's my bathroom.
Oh.
I have a very healthy relationship.
Are you a
with my
bathtub
bathroom.
girl?
I love my bathtub.
Oh.
But listen, it's so much effort. If I'm having like a little bit of a struggle, or if I have a lot of people in my house, and I just need to like kind of like check out, there's no way I'm going to draw myself a bath and get in. Not
No,
happening.
I'm the same. It's too
Not
much
happening.
work.
So you're going to
No.
do like shower?
No, I go into my bathroom and I have this amazing blue velvet chair, and I just disconnect, and I will get like either on my phone, on TikTok, because I have a very like,
Yeah.
I love me some TikTok. We talk about this all the time.
Tic-tac.
Tic-tac.
And I'll just zone out. That is my space. That's where I go when I'm having so much like overwhelming feels. But I have to tell you, there's been numerous times where some of the closest women in my life like have been having the same things, and they come into that space and we just figure it out.
Yeah.
And so
Well, 'cause
if
you're a
you
problem
have
solver,
somebody
too.
in your life that says to you, you're acting a fool, get your shit together, get yourself up, then that you're a winner. Like
Yeah.
that's ultimately what it
And
is.
I feel like that's
I'm
why
so
we have
over
such a
the-
beautiful
Yes,
friendship,
I can
though.
tell from sitting just across
She
you
does that
guys.
too.
Yeah, I'm just over the content of like, you need to be with that person, black and white, 100%. They have no faults. Like, you got my back. You should have my back 100%. And it's like,
Oh, yeah, I don't
no,
believe in that.
I want a friend who's going to make me better, wiser, nicer, kinder. Like, make me understand what I've done that's wrong, but do it in a
Yes.
loving
Well,
way,
and I think
'cause I'm
that's the
sensitive.
common misconception when people say, like, you're supposed to have my back. It's like, me telling you you're messing
Yeah.
up is me having your back. Like,
100%.
I'm looking out for you and being like, hey, yo, homie, like, nah, cool, you're going to ruin this. Like,
Yeah.
stop,
Right.
take it back. Like, give yourself a minute to think. And
100%.
yeah, like,
No,
I
absolutely.
think, yeah.
And
I couldn't agree more.
It all comes from our own insecurities. I mean, we're all children of some situations that have happened. I don't know what people's backgrounds are not, but I know with my background, I'm a perfectionist because that's how I was shown love.
Sure.
And so to me, it's like the better I did, the more love I got shown. And so I needed that. So I'm always trying to be perfect. So when somebody tries to tell me, oh, you need to work on this, the first feeling that I get is, oh my gosh, I failed. And then I go into this feeling of, woe is me. How can I be better? And I will self-sabotage in a whole way within 2 minutes of how I'm like this horrible person in like 5 seconds.
Because the way that you receive it, you're receiving it from a victim mentality.
I'm totally receiving it, but I hate victim mentality, which is so funny.
I know you do.
So she pops so quick.
So
like,
I will pop right out and be like, let's go get this.
Yeah.
And then I will make it my focus to
yeah,
fix
the
it.
process is actually fun to watch. Like, it is. Like, and I don't, like, not that watching, like, you go through this
Erin's
torture.
actually seen it.
Not like
Yeah.
watching you spiral is
Yeah,
great,
it's like
but
that's not the fun part, but the fun part is like literally like I will sit there and I'm listening, and because a lot of times it is I just sit there and listen.
I
'cause
have
that's,
to vent.
That's my biggest
I have
thing.
to
I'm like
vent.
I'm not.
venting is healthy.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Venting
will
is
always ask
healthy
that
in a safe
question. It's
space.
like, are you here just to talk and let yourself like hear yourself
Oh,
talk, or
David,
are you
you
wanting
and I
me
are
to
spirit
like
animals.
come in
Yeah.
and
You
give
really
you some
are.
advice?
That's what I'm saying. The two of you.
Yeah.
Like,
for
what are
sure.
you needing right now? And a lot of times, she's like, I just need to pop off. Like, I have all these feelings, and she goes off, and I'm like, I love it. I'm listening, and she's like going, and she's like, woe is me, I hate this. She's like, you know what? No, like, fuck this. I'm done. Let's go. Let's get out right now. I'm like, now? She's like, no, get ready. I'm coming to get you. I'm like, wait, no, take it back. Let's go back. Like,
Oh, no.
Go ahead
but
and
it's
take
so
a rewind.
quick the way she does that, and I love
I have to
that.
vent it out to my person I trust.
Yes.
I'm very particular about what I give which I know you are, and I know
I
you
am.
are. And that's why I actually was so excited about this meeting, because I think you guys will all love each other. And it's a safe place that I know, because I'm very particular about my safe place. But I'm like, I am vulnerable right now. I need help, and I need guidance, and I need light to tell me how I get to this next level, or how I change this thing about me with a trusting set of eyes. Because I don't want someone who's coming in and telling me to fix something about myself that I love.
Sure.
Just fix the problems that you see so I can make myself better. That's what I want. And I feel like everyone should always strive to be better. But when you're, and this goes out to every business owner, every person in a relationship, when you're giving criticism, you got to do it in a loving way.
Oh, for sure.
You got to do it in a loving way and give an answer. I hate when people are like, you just got to fix this. Well, how? How does that look like?
You want solutions.
I want solutions.
Yes.
Like, help me, guide me on how I can fix this to make you feel better. And if at the end of the game we've given up solutions and I've tried them all and you still aren't happy, bye-bye. I don't want to see you again.
Well, I think that's also
You won't be happy ever.
No, but I think that's also like that's also a really good, as far as being in business, professional life, personal life, what have you. I think there becomes like a hard stop, right? Like you have to decide what's best for you to say, this is my hard stop. I've had enough, and this is where you exit. Whether or not you want to change your behavior, that's fine, but I will no longer allow this behavior in my life, and it's not a good fit for me. And there has been many, like, over the last decade of my life, things in relationships have just simply looked different. They just have.
Yeah.
And you get to a stop where it's like, hey, I'm cool with how you want to be.
Yeah.
But this doesn't work for me, so I have to do this. And when you start shifting the blame, because I think a lot of times when it comes to whether you're professional, whether you're personal, whatever, I think a lot of times people are constantly looking for evidence to justify their feelings as to why somebody shouldn't be involved in their life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that.
No.
And I'm one of them. Like, I am one that I constantly have to look for, okay, well, I really don't want to be associated with X. So I need to find evidence as to why no.
Like an excuse
I
of
don't
why you
need
gotta
that.
leave.
My gut intuition is very strong, as stated.
Have you ever
I
questioned?
don't need to,
Have you
know,
ever questioned your gut?
never.
Never.
Well, I shouldn't. Okay, let me backpedal. I can't say that I've never questioned it. What I've questioned is my insecurity and my insecurity in able to actually say what needs to happen once I believe my gut.
And once you believe your gut, then your gut always been right?
Yeah.
Because
I wish I could say no, but yes.
I'm like,
Your gut is everything.
My feelings, not just my mom feels, not just my business feels. I wish I could say that there was a time in my life that I could be like, no, this was wrong. But I do think, and it's so interesting because we always call him my baby daddy now. He is very happily married to someone that I would consider one of my very close friends, and I just love her.
Yeah,
to
you
pieces.
guys are all close, right?
We are a blended family, yes. And
That's
this is
beautiful.
No,
this
they've
is
got an
probably
amazing. I'm just going to cut in real quick. I've seen horrible divorces, and I've seen people who end up becoming best friends. And I will say, every time when you can communicate with the other and you make that relationship healthy for your children, the kids are so well adjusted.
Absolutely.
So I really think, yes, a divorce is totally okay with what you're doing, but if you can come together in a peaceful mindset and make it okay for your children, that is how you should go about it.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously,
can.
you know my situation. I'm partial, and I emphatically agree because I am partial because I live it. And Matt and I are a blended family. We have 6 kids together. He has 2 from a prior relationship. I have 4 from my prior marriage. It is, at the beginning, you're like, okay, how are we going to manage 6 children?
Yeah, how do you blend this family
How do we
together?
blend? And I think that is a lack in our society in general, and that no one actually wants to talk about the hard crap. No one, everyone wants to just be like, oh yeah, being a stepmom, being a stepdad. And that's fine. And I think you should actually have those conversations. But I think what people don't like to talk about is the amount of work that it takes for the parents that are actually getting divorced or getting separated. Yeah. Like the amount of work that my Brett is his name, because I hate referring to him as my ex-husband.
Baby daddy.
My baby daddy. The amount of work that Brett and I put in to allow for the relationships for Matt and Tina to come into our situation is I can't even explain to you how much work we put in to fix that.
Yeah.
So
It's
that
a
way
lot
we
of
allowed a
work.
safe space. It's so much work. It's
I've
so
seen
much.
it. I've seen it with my friends. I've seen it with one of my really amazing friends, and she went through it. And I've told her over the years, I go, I've never met somebody who
Yeah.
has made a divorce look so peaceful in my life. And she goes, Blair, it's not
No.
peaceful. It's hard. It's exhausting. There's emotions. She goes, but for the kids, we got to make this work.
Absolutely.
Well,
And
that's what
she's
it's
100%.
about. Yeah, and people forget that.
Well, they
like,
forget because there's so many emotions, and you don't know why the situation happened. But it's you can just come together in some peaceful,
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Now I get it. There's
you don't have
couples
to
out
be
there
best
that are
friends, but-
abusive and all those things, and you've got to
Yeah.
have those boundaries out there because like there are some people that you need to cut out of your life. But when it comes to something as maybe I wouldn't say simple because divorce is never simple, but like
No.
a divorce that's been you guys have exited the marriage, exit the marriage, and now you still have that family together. Those will always be your kids,
Right.
so you have to be at peace with one another.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think
And do you guys all have a healthy relationship? Like, does Matt like have a good relationship with Brett? And like, do you have a relationship with Tina?
Tina, yep.
And all of you guys get along.
I will tell you, Tina is one of the greatest blessings that has ever come into my life. And not just my life, but my children's life. I knew when Brett and I decided to separate, we put in the work, we went to counseling to get divorced. Like we did the hard stuff. And when I say divorce is hard, it is hard, but it shouldn't be hard for your children.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of where our mind frame was. And when I think about it in the business aspect, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Brett. I wouldn't. Like that's period.
Give credit
if
where
it
credit's
wasn't for
due.
him, I would never have been able to start my company. I would never have been able to live. Like he did things for me that I don't think I could ever convey the thankfulness that he did during that time. But when we decided to not be together anymore, we went through like, okay, how do we handle this? We had some major losses in our life at that time that basically forced us to say, okay, we really truly are better together. We have to be better together for the kids, and we're not going to switch. Like we actually filed for divorce while we were still living together and decided to still live together during that time because of these gigantic losses in our life.
I mean, I could totally understand that.
It's hard. It's really hard. But if it wasn't for the relationship that I had with him then, and if it wasn't for the relationship that we said, like, this is our bare minimum, this is what we're doing. We vacation together now. When
All of you?
All of us, like Brett,
they're the
Tina,
Brady Bunch.
Matt, and
I love
I
that.
just took the older girls to New York City last year for their graduation trip.
How much
had a
easier is
blast.
that to have
I
than
don't actually
you fighting with
understand.
each other?
And I'm going to be bold because I feel like this is the podcast to do it.
Yes, this is.
If you are in a situation where your ex or your mother of your children or the father of your children, if you are not constantly working on an effort or making any kind of decision to bring them closer into your life, you are effing up. You are.
I agree.
100%.
It is so instrumental to the happiness of those kids.
Absolutely.
And to our peace in our homes. It makes me so mad
I
that
agree.
there are people out there who believe that you should actually not like your spouse when they're no longer a fit for you. Guess what? Brett and I didn't work out as husband and wife, but I'll tell you right now, he is a damn good father.
Yeah.
He's a great father, and he's a great husband to Tina, who's the person that he should be with. And
Yeah.
Matt is a great husband to me, who is the person that he should be with. So it's a very big dynamic and shift, but because of that experience in our life of having like a better together
Yeah.
mentality, that's why Matt and I are successful in the business world. Because
Absolutely.
ultimately, if you can get through that hard stuff, there's literally nothing that we can't work through on
Well,
the
you've
business
gone
side.
through the hard stuff. I mean, blending a marriage, blending a family, that is tough. That's
Yeah.
hard. And I love like your perspective of it, because I've seen so many people be like, I hate my husband, so my kids have to hate him, or they're talking bad about them. And it's like, I get that. Like, you feel angry, you're upset, but I have to tell so many people out there that I've seen people like you, people like a couple of my other friends, and they have made it work, and those kids are thriving.
And not
thriving.
only- when you make the decision to do that and be in a healthy space, you actually influence people around you. Because very shortly after, my sister, who I love and adore, and
Oh,
I think she's
you
the
know I
greatest
love
thing
your
on the
sister.
planet.
Love her.
But because of those positive influences, you're actually influencing people in your sphere.
Yeah.
Sphere, circle, whatever you want to call it.
Lettuce Latusi.
Sphere, yep. When you do that, you are monumentally affecting people that had no idea this was even an option.
Yeah.
And I think people have been told that you got to be angry, you got to be mad, and we got to be separated. And the reality is you don't have to be that angry. You can actually have a peaceful interaction.
Yes.
And you can blend this in a way where you guys all gain perspective and humility, and you love each other.
Absolutely.
Your love may look different. Your boundaries may look different, but you guys are uniting. You're still one front of a family.
Yes.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Because divorce sucks.
Yeah, it's not
For
fun.
everybody.
No, it
Yeah.
really
Even
does.
a good one isn't a blast to
There's
go
never
through.
really a good one. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But if you can, and you guys are in a safe place with that person, and you've been in a relationship that you have at one time cared about them.
Yeah,
You're not in
absolutely.
a scary situation. You can definitely make that family unit work. It may look
Absolutely.
different, but you can make that unit work. Okay, I know we've got to wrap this up, but I do have one last question.
Is this
for
the
Erin.
spicy question that
This
you were
is the
telling me about?
spicy question.
I can't wait.
So you and Matt work together in the office.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever play role play?
In the office or outside the office?
I mean, either one. I'm down.
100% never in the office.
I was
just as
hoping
I'm taking
with
a
all
sip
these
of
glass
Ever.
windows. I was like, how
Nope.
professional could they be?
That is a no. That is a no-fly zone
like,
in
we're
the office.
pretty
Do you come home and
professional.
play secretary ever?
I feel like I don't. Secretary? You
I
think
mean,
I would ever
no.
be Matt's secretary?
No, I think Matt would be your secretary.
Matt would 100% be my
She's like, even in a role play, no way.
No, I think
No.
Matt would be yours. It's like,
No.
are you the dominating?
So in our relationship, my husband 100% is the alpha. Like he is like, he's the guy. He does all the things. When it comes to business and all, I'm
You're the
the
alpha.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like,
No, I will always be submissive of my husband. Always. That's
I
just a
love
stand-
that.
That's just
I'm
a thing.
shocked by that because I
Are
thought
you?
Erin. I was
Nope.
like, Erin, dominatrix.
No.
throw the
I
whip.
mean, I'm sure Matt's gonna listen to this and be like, okay, maybe we need to change our mind for him a little bit. But no, like when
because Matt's so easygoing.
when it comes to business, when it comes to that, like, yes, I am the one who's like, no feelings. We're in. We're here for it. We're doing all the things. Go.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to, not business.
Yeah.
And we're talking, like weekend time or after hours time. No, I am 100% submissive of my husband. Always.
She's the submissive one.
I am.
I would never have thought.
I would do anything for Matthew. I just love him. He's
Matthew
amazing.
should do anything for you.
I would. he gives me this safe
What
space.
makes
He
you
allows
just
me-
like, because you're such a powerful woman, right? And we talk about these
I
like amazing,
appreciate
powerful women, and I'm a strong woman. How do you just like let that go to be like, my husband is the alpha.
best thing. He earns it to be one.
Good for
Like,
him.
And
He
He
earns
should.
it. Yep. He shows up every day. He's the man who does all the things. Matt's the dish cleaner in our house. He loves to do the
take
laundry.
notes, every other man.
Yeah.
Yeah, take notes.
Did you hear that? Dishwashing gets you laid.
Yes. He's not complaining. But no, like he earns that spot in my life. Like I signed up to be with Matt because I knew that I was so strong in all the other aspects.
Yeah.
That I needed someone to tell me, hey, it's okay. I got you.
I
And
get
that's
that.
perfect.
And
Yeah.
he
I
gets
get
me.
that.
Because especially like for all of us that are very strong characters, like
Yeah.
we want somebody that we can fall back on and just
100%.
relax and not
Yes.
have to stress or worry. So it's nice to have somebody that you can literally
Absolutely.
just like hug me,
Relax.
help me, like
Or tell me all the dirty things you want
Yeah.
me to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things, like, right? Like, we're all adults here. Like, sometimes it's nice to be like, hey, I want you to do this. And you're like, okay, daddy, whatever you want.
I mean, I might never call Matt daddy, but we'll just put that on the back burner
I mean, that would be
for now.
weird.
What are we at?
Or-
We're in May.
Or you're
Ask me in
you're-
November.
You guys have been married how many years?
Matt and I have been married 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Get ready for year 4. You'll call him daddy real quick.
Listen, I'm not ever opposed.
I think it took
But-
me and Robbie 13 years before I called him daddy.
Do you have daddy issues though?
No, not at all.
Yeah, see, I do.
Oh,
So
so
I know.
maybe a little.
Yeah, I'm like,
Well, I mean, let's be real. My father dressed us up in a clown suit and smoked weed in a convertible.
girl, we don't have enough
Oh, yeah.
podcasts to go into my trauma. But
we need to have you back on because we absolutely love you. And
thank
Be
you
the trauma
guys.
we got a little
Thank you,
spicy
guys.
at the end,
no,
but
thank
you know,
you.
just stay tuned because the spice will always
Well,
continue.
I'm so appreciative. Thank you guys so much for allowing
No, Erin, you're
not just me,
wonderful.
but like a safe space for so many people to be able to like relate and have all of these things. I will
Absolutely.
gladly be on anytime you
We
want me
love you. And you know what? For those
Absolutely.
that have gotten that pregnancy test at 18 or have had a divorce, I am talking to one of the most badass women out there who has dominated our industry and is going to continue to dominate. So you know what? Keep going. Remind yourself that this is just a moment and that you are a passionate, amazing human being that are going to conquer some things. And maybe your biggest mistake is what's going to save you. So keep it
beautiful.
going.
I love that.
So,
Because,
yeah,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
attach that on my body.
We love you. We love you guys. Stay tuned to episode 3. It's going to be coming soon. So thank you for watching and listening to Blair It Out There.